but it's cold. So I've been cruising along just on electric power, low power. I'm not interested in breaking any speed records today, but I have been noticing that the connection to the battery seems to be rather sketchy. And I'm realizing what that is. When the engine's on, the vibrations through the battery pack are off the chain. So before I really ride, I'm going to have to make sure that I tighten that battery pack up as best I can. So we've got the Mk5 out. As you can see there, the battery rack is a bit twisted after the crash back in February. But otherwise it's still clearing the tyre. There's no rubbing or anything like that. However, the battery is not snug against this rack anymore, and it is in fact bouncing around a fair bit. What that means is that when that motor's going, it vibrates so much it breaks the connection. So I've got to figure out what needs to be tightened, what can be tightened, but I'm thinking my best option is to just get a bit of old inner tube rubber in there and just try and pack it out a bit, and that might help absorb some of the vibrations. So I'm just going to go ahead and sort of clean this up, and we'll see how we go. I'm now fairly certain that this hub is rooted. Now I just checked the wheel nuts, they're tight, but I'm not going to be able to show you very well, but there is movement in the cone. I'm going to see if I can't just nip that up a bit with the wheel on, but not looking good. Okay, so the wheel is off, and that has definitely come loose. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and just try and nip that up. So with much mucking around, I managed to tighten up that cone. It is not anywhere loose like it was, and that's probably lucky I caught that when I did, because that would have been a headache down the line. Alright, so should never ever throw out an old inner tube. Now, whilst I don't recommend ever using rubber between your engine mounts, everything else, perfect. It will absorb some vibration, which is exactly what we're using it for today. You need that much because science. Now all I'm doing here is tearing it down the seam, because it doesn't need to be perfect, but at least by following a seam I know that I'm tearing it relatively straight. Alright, that's it. So all we're going to do is stick it in the battery rack there, slide the battery on, and hope it helps. Yes, it's stuck. So full length is probably not going to work, and it's also a little bit wide. So I am going to cut down about a third of the way. So we've cut about that much off the original length. Now the hard part, if I can get in here to show you, is getting these connectors together. It took me about an hour last time. So I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll check back in when I eventually get it done. So good news is battery's connected, and the rubber seems to have done the trick. This is now no longer any play in that plate, which is exactly what I needed. Now I think the battery's shorted out, so that's fantastic. Not what I needed. Now I'm pissed. I think I somehow shorted the battery out. I don't know how. Nothing looks melty, but the fucking thing won't turn on. So I really don't understand what happened between taking it off and putting it back on again, because it was fully charged. I was expecting just to stick a bit of rubber in there and go for a ride, but it's not to be, apparently. And I sure as shit can't afford a new battery. It's literally all hot glued into place. It could be any one of these. Alright, success. The problem was a loose inner fuse, which was tacked down in there. Fingers crossed, I can put it back together and it'll be fine. Case is back together, and we have power. Alright, so battery's in. Rubber's in place. No more vibration in the battery. Let's see if it turns on. So far so good. I would call that a moderately successful win. Now, provided my camera angle was alright, you should see that there's still a significant wobble in the wheel. We're not worried about that. It'll be fine. A couple of things I need to do is I need to get rid of the plushy handlebar on the throttle side, because I need one that I've cut the end off, like so, because I snapped my little moped mirror. I need to use a bar end mirror, which is why I've got that there ready to go. The plushy one, it looks good, but I wear gloves when I'm riding, and despite your best efforts, it's not going to do it now, is it? But that's always coming loose. So I'm going to rethread that now. Pinch the mirror out of the Giant, stick it in there, and I'll go for a bit of a ride and see how things look.